Good morning, folks. Welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, your host, and we're in luck because it's that time of the year that we honor the KSU Master Farmer and Master Farm Homemakers. Today we recognize Dwight and Cindy Baldwin and Ron and Pat Fredrickson, inductees into the 2016 class. So make sure to stay tuned after this break from our sponsors.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. Now's our chance to meet the Baldwins.
After we were married and we lived in Jardine Terrace apartments, it was okay, but we both decided town was not for us. And so when Dwight told me he wanted to farm, I said, okay, fine with me.
And so you came back to the area, and how did you start?
We were able to rent one of Cindy's aunt's 80s.
We bought a used combine, and Dwight did some custom cutting for neighbors. But that was basically it. We lived on the cheap for quite a while.
But as you could, you built up the operation,
yes.
Expanded acreage and so forth. And that's where you are present day with, 2,600 acres, and it's largely grain. Wheat seems to be the principal crop.
About 50% wheat, the balance row crops.
You say you now are largely no-till or strip-till?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, it's amazing how things have changed from when we started plowing. My first tractor was a 68 40-20 and a 4-bottom moldboard plow and 14-foot disc. Now we're doing quite a bit of strip tilling and quite a lot of no-till. And we've actually recently purchased some equipment to try to incorporate possibly some vertical tillage just to see what we think of that.
Well, and we've also gone from light bars to now we're, what is it called?
RTK.
Yeah, RTK, GPS. Everything is mapped. You can bring in a little flash drive, stick it in the computer, and it spits out what all we did and where we did it.
Cindy, while we're on this, in addition to your activities as a full-time farm partner in this operation, you've run a publishing business on the side. Mm-hmm. What's that about?
I own the Country Register of Kansas, which is a specialty advertising paper that's distributed through our advertising shops throughout the state of Kansas. Typically have between 12 and 15,000 circulation each issue. It's a bi-monthly. I get the stories and do the ads and design the paper, put it all together. So I do that. I've done that for 6 years. But when I left, for 5 years, I was the news editor and ag editor at the McPherson Sentinel. And when I left that paper so that I could be more flexible with our time on the farm, I did a variety of editing, freelance writing. I was a frequent contributor to Grass and Grain.
In a similar vein, both of you, in a variety of ways, have taken it upon yourselves to tell agriculture's story. And you might explain the impetus behind that and what kind of things you've done.
Because I have a teaching background, I wanted to get involved in the schools, and I got the opportunity to be on the Kansas Foundation for Ag in the Classroom, which that is our whole goal, is to get agriculture into the schools, but using ag examples and ag information to teach all the subjects, English, math, science. So that has been my primary involvement. And then we also have a program that we started here in McPherson County. McPherson County Chamber has a very active Ag in the Classroom program. I'm on that committee.
After the break, we'll finish up with Dwight and Cindy Baldwin.
Support Kansas agriculture education with an AgriTag. AgriTags are available anytime at your county treasurer. They look great on cars and trucks. For more information, go online to ksagclassroom.org.
Parasites will lose you more money than any other disease out there besides infertility. So, parasites is something that we have to control, and that's what VetGun does for us. It's tough out there on a ranch, but with the ease of the vet gun, it's a one-man operation, and whenever you can get one thing to work out great throughout that day, it just makes my life a little easier.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. Now we're going to finish up with the Baldwins.
Well, Cindy probably is a better advocate than I am, although we've had some unique opportunities in that we've had actually several international connections. We've had some Colombians, Japanese, two groups of Chinese, and a Canadian.
Before we leave too far onto another topic, Dwight, give you an opportunity to talk about your hobby. You mentioned the Chinese visit. That's a rather amusing anecdote, so you might share that.
Well, Adam had, my son, he's on the National Sorghum Checkoff Board, and there were a group of grain buyers coming through, and so they were stopping, and we had been asked if we could line up some of our equipment so they could take a look at it. And anyhow, I have a hobby that ever since I was in high school, I thought it would be fun to build a little street rod, a tea bucket. And so they were looking at all the equipment until they saw the little tea bucket. And right away, their attention went to the little car. And the guy that was the interpreter, and he said they're not able to do anything like that in China. That there's no way to tag a homemade vehicle. And so that was just kind of, it was really interesting how they reacted to that.
Just another aspect of a rewarding experience and exchange between those visitors that came to your place. The both of you have been involved in much, much more, and we could go on, but noting that you were both involved as 4-H project leaders, deeply ingrained in your church activities. Want to talk a bit about your children, too. Let's speak of Emily first. She is a teacher by trade?
Yes, she's taught near Leavenworth in the Pleasant Ridge School District for 16 years. She's taught in the Easton school system. Her husband is a Leavenworth County Sheriff's officer. He's a sergeant with Leavenworth County. They have 2 children. And then Adam.
He does agriculture.
He does
obviously.
Agriculture, yes. And he and his wife live 3 miles from us, and they have 2 children. Their little boy is 3 and just have a new baby that's 3 months. So, and then they're both very involved in Farm Bureau. Kim is a coach for some of the FFA things at Inman High School.
You and Adam are not necessarily full partners, are farming separately, but cross over in your operations. Is that right?
We have absolutely separate farms, but we help each other do essentially whatever needs done. And then this fall, we actually did buy some ground together and then picked up some additional farm ground that we'll be farming together. So that part will be in partnership.
Last thing here, what this recognition as Master Farmer, Master Farm Homemaker means to each of you. Who would like to start? Cindy, would you like to start?
The people that I knew that had received that honor, I just never thought that we were in that. I just never thought we would be considered.
Dwight?
I just feel like to give us the award, it's like we need to cut it up into little pieces and spread it all around, because all the people that have worked for us and just we've had such great neighbors, and we just have numerous people who have helped us over the years, and I really appreciate it. I just don't, they're part of our farm.
As a collective, it's terrific, but you're both to be congratulated for getting this award. Well deserved. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
After the break, let's meet Ron and Pat Fredrickson.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher, leaving more time to tend to other vital tasks on the farm. To learn more, visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. Now let's meet the Fredricksons.
We're basically cattle, primarily, although we're diversified. One of the things I've learned since '92, if you put it all in cattle or all in crops, one is not usually ahead of the other. Cattle do well when corn is cheap, sometimes, until now. And so we diversified a little bit also. We have about, 1,500 acres of crop ground, basically.
On the cattle side, what have you done specifically that you think has set you apart and has allowed you to prosper then?
I think paying attention to details with the cows, watching them, checking them, making sure they have nutrition, keeping them up into condition 6. We try to keep them up in good shape. We feed them well, try to take technology as much as we can. One of the things that we have done since that time is also develop cows and calves. I used to go to registered sales, and I said, well, there's some cows that they're selling, 3 or 4 years old, that are sold the same as commercial, or 5. And so I started buying some of those. And that's kind of how we built our herd, is buy little older cows at the registered sales, and then we kept them and bought good bulls. And our last weaning weight, for example, this fall, we just sold our calves. The steers weighed 650, and the heifers weighed 625.
Very good.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And we have focused on carcass value, and we sold our calves on Superior Video at first, several years ago. And a guy bought them, and he was involved with Meyer's all-natural beef.
Which is a niche market that you've
That's
started
right.
out.
And so what we have done is that he liked them, and he called me up one day, and he said, hey, I'd like to buy your calves. And I said, why not? So he came down, and what we did, we looked at what Manhattan Sale Barn was selling for, and took the top of the market, and he said, I'll pay that.
You stated that you follow a philosophy of goal setting as a system of management.
Yes.
You might explain what you mean by that.
Well, one of the things that if you're going to accomplish anything in life is that you need to write it down. That's number one. And number two, you need to write down something that's specific. Basically, to give you an example of what we do, we talk about only buying a certain amount of stuff. And my motto is that we don't buy anything if it depreciates out in 3 years. And there's always a tendency, it's nice to have nice new equipment, but if it works and it utilizes, that's fine. But if you have to depreciate it out and lose its value in 3 years, it's not going to help you. And we have a number of one that you can see on this. Remember, the turtle won the race. Safety comes first. Take good care of the cows and they'll take good care of you. And then we make goals out of those. We sit down each year with with Jace primarily and Jim, and we identify what he wants to do and what we want to do.
Let's step away from the farm, but it's all intertwined, and talk a bit about your community service, things you've been involved with. Ron, you mentioned that the Watershed District, you've been a leader in that effort, but it goes beyond that for the both of you. Extension, 4-H, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah. Church.
And church. We'll talk about some of the high points. If you would.
With the Navy, we moved around a great deal, and some of my best memories are playing for a Quonset full of young recruits, 1,000 men, young men, all singing at the top of their lungs with my whatever organ, electric organs. Well, that was in the military, and we also had a Brownie Scout troop there that I was the director for their singing.
After the break, we'll finish up with Ron and Pat Fredrickson.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
It's rodeo time in Sabetha. Come to the 61st Annual Northeast Kansas Rodeo on July 16th and 17th. Steer wrestling, calf roping, bull riding, and more. It's an exciting event for your whole family. The Sabetha Rodeo. Don't you dare miss it.
Hi, I'm Annette from Jackson's. Our annual gigantic sale will be this Saturday, where every plant in the greenhouse and in our nursery, from annual to perennial, shrub, tree, or water plant, will be half price. Don't miss our biggest sale of the year.
WIBW Jackson's Greenhouse Garden Club members can shop Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when they present their membership card. They'll receive the 50% sale prices.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today.
Time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Earlier in my life, I rode bucking horses in rodeos, and my shoulders took such a beating, and that was probably the reason for having several previous surgeries on both shoulders. About a year ago, I decided that I didn't want to have another surgery. And so I contacted Kansas Regenerative Medicine, took their treatment process. It was relatively pain-free. Now, after 8 months, my shoulders have healed to the point where I think I'm probably 90 to 95% of normal. It takes a couple of months to start to see results and feel real progress. That continued to increase gradually until now at approximately 8 months. And I'm extremely pleased. I've got full range of motion. I can lift weights, I can throw, I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do without a lot of pain previously.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.
It's rodeo time in Sabetha. Come to the 61st Annual Northeast Kansas Rodeo on July 16th and 17th. Steer wrestling, calf roping, bull riding, and more. It's an exciting event for your whole family. The Sabetha Rodeo. Don't you dare miss it.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm as we wrap up with the Fredricksons.
Then when we moved out here, they needed a choir director. So I don't sing that well, but I was the choir director for 19 years here. When we went to Amherst, they didn't have Girl Scouts, but they had 4-H. And our daughter was the right age for 4-H. And so we became very involved with 4-H. In New England, they preserve a lot. And it's beautiful. And it's nicely done. And we lived near Deerfield, Massachusetts, which was a community before Massachusetts was a state, in a frontier. And so I became very aware of preservation. And then every time we would drive by the one-room school here on the way to visit the parents each year, a gutter would fall down or a screen would be hanging. And this little school, it was just beautiful. We decided, it was mutual, that when we came, we would use all the expertise that we had to preserve it for history. And it took a while. It took a lot of community involvement and lots of money, but it is now a National Historic Site. Well, people back home in Massachusetts used to ask how he kept his balance so well, but I knew he came home and got his hands dirty, dirt under his fingernails, as often as he could.
But both of our kids learned how to drive tractors
early
and do everything very much like I did.
Do want to give you an opportunity to visit about your children, and both of them were accomplished in the medical field, among other things, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Talk
that's
about
correct.
them, if you would.
Our oldest son was very interested in helping people. That was his devotion. And he went to KU Med School, then went on to University of North Carolina and got his PhD in epidemiology. And when he was looking for a job afterwards, he had a number of them, but Wichita had an opening at the medical school. And he went down there for an interview and they hired him on the spot. But unfortunately, he had diabetes. In 2008, he passed away. Our daughter is also very brilliant, and she is a nurse practitioner on the faculty at Washburn University. And she is there, and she's also working on her doctorate degree as a nurse practitioner. So we're very proud of our children.
We could talk about a number of things, but time doesn't permit us to go into everything. Do want to finish out by getting your responses to what this recognition as Master Farmer, Master Farm Homemaker means to each of you.
I was absolutely shocked. I didn't think I really fit the mold.
Yeah, I was too. I was very, very flattered, humble, that kind of thing. When you're out here by yourself, you're struggling, you're trying to make a living, you're paying your taxes, you're making your interest payments even then, and it's wonderful to be recognized. The other thing that's been very helpful to us, and this part of the recognition, is that since we lost our son, and we have this young man who's going to make the transition, who's worked for me since he was 14.
The young man's name is Jace Baldwin, and that he is a graduate of the ranch management program at Butler Community College.
Thank you for joining us on That's My Farm. And don't forget, next week about this same time, we'll have more stories from farmers and ranchers from across the state of Kansas. See you then.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamandkansas.com.